Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to start briefly by going over Mr. Crawford's exchange with Mr. McLennan. I was a little bit surprised that he was criticizing you, Mr. McLennan, for having a program to seek black farmers. As you know, in the 1920s, 14% of farmers in this country were black. That is almost down to 1% today. And there's a simple reason why that's the case. It's because the United States Department of Agriculture discriminated against black farmers. Mr. McLennan, can you explain to this committee the history in this country with black farmers and why it's perfectly appropriate for your company to be working with black farmers given that history?
Well, Representative, you cited, I think, the most powerful components of that story of black farmers in this country over the last 100 years, from 14% to it's less than 1%. And I think we're all very well versed in the aspects of history and the aspects of our culture, which have contributed to various aspects of the farming industry. But our belief and our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion is not just within the walls of our company, but also it is also in our supply chains. And as I said to the representative who posed the question originally, this is what our customers want. We believe this is what our consumers want. And basically, it's the right thing to do to support the black farmer community, which has shrunk dramatically over that period of time, and to give them support so that they can grow their ranks and, frankly, provide more jobs within the farming community, also, and not to mention the black farming community.
Well, Mr. McMullen, we may have our disagreements on some of the issues here, but I want to applaud you for that and applaud your commitment to that. I think that's the right thing to do as Americans, and I, for one, am glad that you're doing that. I want to turn.
Thank you.
I want to turn to the issue of intimidation by meat packers towards producers. Senator Fisher entered a letter into the record just yesterday from Nebraska cattlemen saying, quote, "None of our producer members were encouraged to testify, were willing to put themselves out front for fear of possible retribution by other market participants." I assume all of you, all the CEOs I'm hoping, will commit today to encourage producers to openly share their stories about industry and meat production in general without any fear of retaliation. It can be a simple yes or no. Mr. McLennan, we can start with you. Would you commit to that?
Yes. I can't imagine anything happening that would discourage the exchange of information.
Could the other CEOs just go, Mr.
Yes, of course.
Anyone?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
The one other issue I want to get to, as you know, a lot of livestock producers are working under contracts. The grower takes on a lot of the environmental liability for the operation. However, many of your companies are actually dictating or working with the producers on how to grow the animal, how to feed them. And right now, the farmer basically gets all the risk from the environmental permits, and the companies don't. One way forward could be if each of your companies would support legislation requiring co-permitting with these producers or farmers on a contract. Would you be open to a co-permitting framework? Mr. Klein?
Thank you for the question. First of all, we don't deal directly with the cow-calf segment of the industry, and there where the permits are important. We are 2 steps away from that. So in terms of your question whether we would support it, I need to know more about it to understand it better.
Anyone else want to jump in possibly supporting co-permitting?
I would echo what Mr. Klein had to say, and that we'd need to know more about it. But we tend to buy, a large percentage of our cattle through feeders as well.
Well, I'd appreciate if we can consider something like that. I think it would go a long way in helping farmers. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Khanna, and I just want to say I agree with you in complimenting Cargo for their help of black farmers. Thank you for that.